You're watching Revelation, the program with a biblical perspective.
To follow on from the previous programs, we'll now see part 3, the conclusion of the 3-part series of Ian McCormack's testimony. The young man who was stung by the deadly box jellyfish, was pronounced dead by the hospital doctors, tied a tag on his toe and placed him in the wall. He then found himself first in hell and then later was standing before the living God. Ian did not believe in either heaven or hell before this experience, but he now testifies about these places because God gave him his life back in order to encourage us that there is life after death, there's a new heaven and a new earth which God has prepared for those who believe. Just as promised in the Bible book of Revelation chapter 21. Check it out. Here is the final part of this very fascinating testimony.
I began walking closer towards him, thinking that must be God. I wondered if I could just see his face. I'll know who God is. As I got within a few feet of his presence, I began to place my face into the light. And it didn't hurt your eyes. It was like you could look into it. As I placed my face closer in towards his face, hoping I'd break through that veil, as my face did, he suddenly moved. I thought, why has he done that? I've got so close I couldn't see his face. As he moved, all the radiance moved with him, and directly behind him, the same circular shaped diameter as the tunnel, I could see it opening out, and in front of me, like standing in almost like in a cave entrance, I could see, looking out from this entrance, green fields, meadows, fields opening up before my very eyes. As I looked at it, like a new planet. I could see a crystal clear stream working its way through. It was like Earth, but untouched, you know what I mean? A totally new Earth. Every single part of me's gone, I've made it. Somehow, by the skin of my teeth, I have made it. I mean, I knew that somehow I belonged here. It was like I knew I was home. I was wondering, why on earth wasn't I born here in the first place? Why was I born on this miserable planet? Why? Because you must be born again of the Spirit of God. You must have a rebirth and you're in a man to enter into here. But I'm standing here not realizing that's what had happened in the ambulance, that prayer, I'd actually had a rebirth in that prayer, that deathbed prayer. I had no idea that God had heard that and actually moved upon my spirit and washed my inner man as white as snow, crystal clear. As I'm standing there looking in, all I want to do is explore. I mean, I thought my feet won't touch the ground. I could see the pasture had the same life force that was upon the presence of God emanating right through it. I knew if I stepped on it, it would spring back. The light is like everything was giving off life. As I started to move in, his presence came right back in front of me and blocked the way. He asked me this question. He said, Ian, now that you've seen, do you wish to go in or do you wish to return? I thought, return? What for? I wish to go in. He didn't move. I said, I have no one to return for. I'm a single man. I am not married. I have no children, or none that I know of. Please allow me in. He didn't move. Because I thought if God, knew my life, he'd know that maybe I've fathered some child illegitimately. I thought maybe I've wrecked some young girl's life. You know what I mean? And God knows that. He wants me to go back and father that child. And when you're standing before God, you're not some big smart aleck or mouthing off. You just know he can see you and you just want to be right. I thought maybe I've done something wrong. I've got to go back. As I stood there, he didn't move. I said, God, I don't owe any money. Please allow me in. No mortgage, no debt. Still nothing. I said, in my life, no one's ever loved me. No one in my life has ever truly loved me. Your love has touched my heart. I've never felt such pure love. Can I stay here? I have no desire to go back. Everyone wants to manipulate you, control you, hidden agendas, strings attached. But your love and acceptance is the most pure thing I've ever found in my life. No one's ever cared for me like that. No one's ever loved me like that. I have no one to return for. He didn't move. So I thought, then permit me to say one last thing, goodbye cruel world, and I was going to take my chances and try and step through the light and hope that God wouldn't stop me. As I looked back to do that, directly behind me, God showed me a vision of one person who loved me, one person who not only cared for me and accepted me, but had prayed for me all the days of my life. As I looked at her, I saw my mother in a clear vision right behind me. The moment I saw her, I thought, man, if I am dead, what's going to happen if I do step through? If I do step through, could I tell my mum that I made it? Could I communicate with her from this place? I thought, I don't know. I don't want to risk it. I thought, if I am dead and I step through, will my mother have any idea that in that ambulance I prayed? Will she have any idea that I gave my life to God and that God could forgive me? And I thought, no, she'll think a heathenistic son went straight to hell. She'd have no reason to believe I'd pray. Why? My lifestyle is completely antichrist stuff. As I stood there, I thought, God, I wish to return for my mum. I've led such a selfish life. I want to return and tell her what she believes in is real. If I come back, I'll find, you know what I mean, if I go back, I'll find out where this place is, and I'm coming back whether anyone believes me or not. You know what I mean, whether anyone believes me, I don't really care. I know if I died right now, I'm out of here. I'm going to go straight up into His presence, because I know that I've made peace with my Maker. I know that He has forgiven me, accepted me, and I know that He'll take me back into His presence. Total assurance in my heart, not an ounce of fear of death in me. And as I stood there, I said, God, you know what I mean, how do I return? You know what I mean, tell my mum. He said, son, if you wish to return, you must see things in a new light, from His eternal perspective, not my own. And see, when the love of God comes into you, you start to see and love people from a totally different place. And I said, well, then how do I go back down that tunnel? As I looked back towards it, directly behind me now was not only my mum, and I see now my dad, my brother and my sister, like a clear vision, with thousands and thousands of other people. Never seen before in my life. I said, God, what are all these people? He said, Ian, if you don't return, many of these people will most likely not step foot inside a church any longer to hear my name. I said, church? Well, neither would I. I don't even know these people. I know my mum. I wish to return for her. I love her. He said, Ian, I love these people. I desire all of them to come to know me. And I thought, what? See, my heart was like, you know, look after your own. Here, God's telling me His heart is for everyone. And I just see hundreds of thousands of people. I had no idea what I'm fully seeing, but I just know the heart of God reaching out towards all these other people. I said, well, God, I don't know about them, but how do I go back down that tunnel, back into darkness and back into my physical body? I don't even know how I came here. He said, son, tilt your head. Now feel the liquid drain from your eye. Now open your eye and see. I'm instantly back with my head tilted, which I hadn't been able to do, with my right eye open, looking down the length of my body to see my right leg elevated, cupped in the hands of the young doctor who'd been working on me before with the needles, and with a knife in his hand, scalpel or something, prodding the base of my foot like a dead piece of meat. As I open my eye and see this happening, I thought, what's happened? God, I think I'm dead or something? What on earth's He doing with my foot? I'm thinking, did I just see God? See, it was so sudden. It would have been a lot easier, I think, if God let me float down out of the heavens, you know what I mean, down through the clouds, down through the hospital centers to back into my body. But I am instantly, as He spoke, I found out later that God has power, that when He spoke, things come to life. I mean, even things that are dead can come back to life when God speaks, because there's creative power in the spoken voice of God. I found myself lying there looking at this doctor who suddenly gets spooked. You know what I mean? Like, something happens, and he turns and sees my one eye looking at him. The moment he sees my one eye staring into his two eyes, he goes as white as a sheet and nearly goes through the ceiling. Ah, you know, I thought, what on earth's going on? I watch him look again. This time he could see him thinking maybe he's hit a nerve, because the nerve ending's to your spine at the base of the feet. Maybe he's hit a nerve with a knife, you know what I mean, hit a nerve ending, caused the corpse to have an involuntary twitch or something. He's got an evil eye, or a dead man's eye looking at him. Yeah. As he's staring with his two eyes frantically into mine, like maybe the corpse has moved, I'm thinking, what on earth's going on here? I hear the voice of God break through my thoughts. He said, Ian, I have just given your life back. I went, what? God, if that's true, no wonder this man has no idea what's going on. Could you please help me tilt my head to the left and look out the other eye? I'm getting sick of looking at him. As I felt strength come back to my neck, it rolled, my left eye drained, and 10 feet away on the doorway were nurses and orderlies staring in at my left eye opening. They freaked. One nurse was crouched down. She jumped back and knocked the girl who was over her shoulder, nearly knocked the jaw off. Oh, I thought, what on earth is this? I looked back at the doctor, who was still holding my foot, trembling, shaking like a leaf. I thought, there must be a logical reason. Maybe there's a doctor to my right, you know, with a kickstart on the heart. Yeah. I turned, no one there. I thought, that's impossible. I looked to my left, no one. Still the doctor's holding my foot. The nurses and orderlies are panicking. I'm going, you can't bring a man back to life by holding onto his right foot or gaping through a door.